Beautiful ones, welcome into Heart Leadership, the power of vulnerability. This is really about giving ourselves permission to open our hearts so that we can invite other people to open their hearts too. One of the most profound things that I realized is that going through life, I really felt very isolated by some of the challenges that I faced. And it was only by releasing my first book and actually openly, publicly, sharing and confiding with other people some of the experiences that I had passed through that strangers that I didn't know started seeking me out and saying, I went through the exact same thing. I had no idea how many healers are birthed by having unsupportive relationships with their own parents. Did you know that in my 3 years of experience as a professional healer and now professionally mentoring other healers, that I have not met a healer who has had nurturing, supportive, loving mother and father? How fascinating is that? Now, I didn't know that, and what's really important is that we don't actually know that 1 in 3 women or 1 in 3 pregnancies will actually end up in a miscarriage. Okay, I had no idea of those statistics when I was pregnant with my first son, and so when we had a miscarriage, we had no idea how many people came out of the woodworks and said, well, I had a miscarriage when I had a... And I'm like, why did no one ever talk about this with me before when I was really, really ignorant and I didn't know? And so it really, really warmed my heart how many people confided in me that they'd had a miscarriage after I opened up and shared that that's what happened for me. We are still in an era of social faux pas, where we've been taught not to open our hearts and share the real experiences of our lives. Nevertheless, every one of you that's here tonight is a healer, is a leader, is a teacher. And I believe that we're here to speak up and share the truth of what we have passed through so that other people know that they are not alone. So a big welcome to everyone. Really, really grateful for your presence and for the leadership that you're already bringing. We're going to be focusing a lot on a beautiful concept that many of you are familiar with, as within, so without. And the reason why I want to bring this forward is that until we really open up to our tribe will not open up to us. Until we take a step towards them, they will not take a step towards us. And interestingly enough, I never really thought that I would end up working with other professional healers to help them with their client attraction, but that's one of the things that I'm doing now, and really supporting these really deeply feeling, powerful truth bringers to learn how to actually use their voice powerfully, to speak up, share their experience, and they're just seeing a wave of people coming towards them that are actually resonating with that experience and the truth that that person has gained through that experience. So I'm going to be following some notes tonight, and we've got 7 principles. I'm going to share them briefly, quickly at the beginning here so you can scope out where we're going, and then we're going to be playing with each one. So the first one is about sharing your truth, and your tribe will listen. Now, obviously, when you share your truth, some people will not want to hear it, and they will not listen. So we're going to talk more about that. Second point is shared vulnerability invokes courage. And this has happened for me so many times that when someone has vulnerably shared something with me, I've sensed and felt their courage, and that's given birth to more courage within myself too. Number 3, setting our gifts aside means setting aside our soul. We can't separate our spiritual gifts and the truth of who we are from the conversation that we're having. So I absolutely want to give everyone permission to bring all of that forward. Number 4, revealing yourself will mean that your dream clients will be revealed. Number 5, repel to attract. I know some of you have heard me talk about that before. And a leader is a master teacher. And finally, storytelling builds credibility. So welcome to those who are just coming in on the call right now. This webinar is really for people who want to make a difference, people who want to stand and show another way, and for people who want to harness their experience to help others. So if you have been through some really big experiences, it's amazing how many people are out there going through the very same thing, and they just need to hear from you. So let's focus on this first principle of sharing your truth and your tribe will listen. Who has ever showed up on social media and shared something that they didn't think anyone else would resonate with, and they were really, really surprised when they got a wave of comments? So either a raise of hands or go ahead and comment and tell me if you've ever shared something on social media and really found this massive response from people that you didn't even think would resonate with this experience. So the more we can share our truth, the more we'll realize that our tribe is listening. And that's beautiful. Really lovely to hear you guys chiming in and saying yes. The reality is that anytime we're sharing our truth, we're stepping into a place of vulnerability, and this is why we want to avoid it. But the truth is that the more vulnerable we are, the more that actually commands respect. And many of you know that I'm a huge fan of India Ari. I went and seen her for my, 30th birthday? Yeah, my 30th birthday 4 years ago. I went and seen her in Auckland, and she arrived at her concert. She was a little bit late, and she hit the mic, and she was just a ball of tears. And she said, before I can actually sing to you in this concert tonight, I actually have to get off my chest. I've actually had some really big things happen for me, and I will not be able to sing until I clear my heart. So sit down and listen up, people. And I was just like, oh, worshiping her. So in awe of somebody who had had a rough experience, who was professionally expected to deliver. And before she would allow herself to sing, she actually really vulnerably stepped into her truth and shared some of the sorrowful things that had happened to her during the day. And once she had cleared her heart, she gave an amazing concert. Have you been around someone who has done this before? Somebody who has stepped into their truth and shared something sacred and private with you from a place of vulnerability where you could have betrayed them or hurt them, but what it actually led to was you being completely inspired by their courage and their bravery. Yeah. Yeah, someone sharing, I feel more confident about who I am each time I do. I'm so proud of you for speaking up and sharing who you really are, what you really think. I love seeing your all the times and your yeses. So one of the big things in this world right now is that marketing is so rife. There's a lot of people making promises, but there's not a lot of people actually sharing their authentic experiences. So just for anyone here that's in business, it's really, really important to understand that people are really exposed to a lot of promises that have not been delivered on. And so what makes the difference is that when you can actually stand up and share some of your experiences, that gives you credibility to be able to say, I can do this because of this. Okay, so this is a real key part, because you can't just say you can do something anymore. You actually have to bring forward credibility, and the best way to do that is through vulnerability. So shared vulnerability, second principle, actually invokes courage. Just sit there and think about someone that you really admire. This might be a superstar. It might be somebody that you know locally, a business owner or a friend. Type in and tell me someone who has really shared their vulnerability that has helped you to feel more courageous in your own life. India Ari was that for me. Wayne Dyer is another one for me. When I first read about his books and his relationship with his father, and that he eventually found his father's grave and just cursed and cussed at that grave, I really, really respected and understood the resentment that he felt towards what had happened. So Brene Brown, absolutely, she's the master here. Someone else is chiming in about Wayne Dyer and how amazing he is. Someone sharing that they do this because they come from a place of experience. And the reality is that experience speaks louder than credentials. So what we've actually rocked up into is a modern day world where a lot of people actually have credentials, but they don't actually have experience, and they don't actually know what they're talking about. And so when we're connecting with messaging, either on Instagram or Facebook, where someone is relaying the details and the emotions and the truth of the experience, it allows us to know that they know what we have passed through, and that fully helps us to feel more safe and more confident near them. Someone sharing, Louise Hay, Diana Cooper, Doreen Virtue. Yes, we want to relate. So true. We want other people to be able to say, hey, I went through this. And when I first started reaching out and making friends with other professional healers, I was blown away to hear how many of them had had shadow parents. And I have never met anyone now who did not have shadow parents who is a professional healer. So Karina Leday, yeah, she's a powerful example. So it's lovely to hear your examples of people who have shared vulnerability and that's invoked courage within you and within them. So tenderness really is a testament of your inner power. If we've ever seen the quotes around how softness really is a reflection of power, that we all get hurt in this world, and one of the first and easiest defense strategies is just to harden up, to put up heart walls, to put up defenses, to block people off, to not share the truth of who we are, to not share our feelings, not share our vulnerability. And there's so many people that are so good at that, that when someone actually shows up and shares their true experience and their true feelings, it almost brings you back into reality. If you ever been around someone who does that, and all of a sudden moments feel longer and you feel more present and you feel more awake and alive because there's something really real that's being shared here. So I really want to encourage you guys to think about, what is the place where I can really share more of my own tenderness, to really convey to people how much passing through what you have has brought you closer to your truth, has brought you closer to your soul strength, and has brought you gifts and blessings that you would not be without had you not passed through some of the experiences. So, love you guys. Okay. Third point here, and this is a big one for me, that often when we are with our friends or with our family or as a business owner, we want to talk about a topic without kind of relaying our spiritual gifts, without kind of relaying that we're clairsentient, we just have a knowing, or without relaying that we're clairvoyant and we saw that something was going to happen and that's why we were there, or that's how we knew what we knew. What I find really difficult is that many spiritually gifted people can't speak up and share their knowing because they don't have any kind of firm world-based, authority-based way of confiding that information. And I absolutely want to come before you all and invite you all to say, I have a knowing that I sense this, or I had a premonition that this was going to happen, and so I want you to be aware of it. That the more we can actually confide in those that we trust and tell them the truth about what we perceive, that once again, that's powerful leadership, because I know so many people who go, after the fact I knew, but the more we can speak up before or during, we're actually going to open up a conversation where other people can remember that they can speak from the place of their knowing and their gifts as well. Ever since I have accepted and embraced myself as a highly sensitive, and I tell people that I cry every day, I don't think I've cried yet today, which is probably very rare. I'll probably cry before the end of tonight. But what I love so much about really accepting myself as a highly sensitive person is that anyone that's with me, they always end up crying as well, because it's so safe to cry with me because I'm so comfortable with crying for myself, with myself. And so I really want to invite you guys to remember that setting aside your gifts means setting aside your soul. You cannot separate your spiritual gifts from the truth of who you are. So do your very best to bring them through into your conversations with those that you trust. Would you like to type in and tell me, have you been doing this more lately? Have you been stepping into more heart leadership and speaking up for yourself based on knowing, a prompt, a feeling, an intuitive hit? And have you been sharing this? So someone's going, yes, definitely. Someone else is sharing, I've been doing this more often and it has been freeing and allowing myself to grow. Yes. I'm so grateful to hear that you guys are already doing this, because you can feel that when you honor that inner knowing, that is actually an inner authority that conveys more power than some of the external authorities that we've been taught to respect and revere in this world. One of my favorite concepts for everybody who is spiritually gifted, who is wanting to trust and believe more in their own gifts, is to talk about self-authorization. That I encounter with my clients all the time, experiences where they didn't know something or pretended that they didn't know something, and they went to an external authority. They found out information that they then acted upon that was not right for them. And this happens so often because we expect, some of the people that we've been educated about as to believe that they are authorities, that we give our power away to them, we look to them for our answers, and in that same moment we dishonor and reject that we have answers for ourselves. Now, I'm not saying to never turn to an external professional. What I'm saying is that trust yourself to be led to the right professional, and no matter what position anybody else is in, always honor your intuitive knowing first and foremost. Always get a second opinion, okay? Okay, beautiful. So lovely hearing from you guys. Someone saying, yes, I've been doing this more often with a lot more people. Wonderful. It has allowed me to help those around me more. Wonderful. Someone sharing, I choose when and with whom, but more and more. Wonderful. And so any step that you can take, the feeling is really what confirms it for us that we're doing the right thing. There's that feeling there. Okay, principle number 4, reveal yourself and your dream clients will be revealed, or in other words, reveal yourself and your dream lover will be revealed. Reveal yourself and your dream friend will be revealed. That I took a policy probably 3 years ago on social media where I just decided I am just going to tell people the truth and be honest and be my damn self, as scary as that is. And I have received so many wonderful friends into my life who are powerful soul cheerleaders for me. Really being who I am was how I attracted my now husband. We have just celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary. This is how I have attracted some of the most supportive, soul-nourishing friendships that I've ever had. This was only new for me. I've only actually had soulful friendships that are really dependable and reliable for the last 2 years of my life. Honest truth. And but also that the more I've revealed myself, that I have had some of the most dreamiest, delightful, divine clients that have sought me out to work with me, and I absolutely adore them. But I allowed them to walk towards me because I was courageous enough to share who I really am with them. Cool. Someone's sharing that I'm just finding my soul friends, and she's 33. I'm 34, baby. We are in this together. Cool. Someone sharing that she did this. She started sharing more of herself when she started to teach. Wonderful. So number 5, you will have heard me talk about this before, but it's really important to bring forward that we need to repel in order to attract. We have to let ourselves repel. And I really love a story. I was asked to speak at this, beautiful conference up in Auckland with a dear friend, and 200 people in the audience, and I was teaching Repel to Attract and sharing that my very first networking event in Auckland, I am not one of those people that goes into the sea thronging with like the hundreds of people. I don't do that very well. But I thought, no, come on, Lysa, come on, babe. Get yourself together and go and meet some people. And so I walked into this crowd and literally it parted. I so remember it. And so once I was invited back to speak, I shared this experience of walking into this tribe and having it part and having people like move away from me. And I remember I was just so scared that being who I was repelling people. And then I thought, no, this is good. And after sharing that story that night, I got down off the stage and everyone was departing, and there was 10 people lined up in a line waiting to hug me and thank me, because every time they went to a networking event, they always felt people moved away from them. So my kindreds, the 10 out of the 200 lined up to hug me and thank me, because I had shared an experience that they related deeply to that no one else had ever spoken about before. So we need to give ourselves permission to repel and respect that not everyone's going to vibe with us, and that is sweet, because the more we repel those who are not right for us, the more we actually enable ourselves to attract those who are our soul tribe. And we all know when we're really basking in soul connection with our kindreds, we feel really alive, and the richness of that is just so profound. So, these are the 2 activities that we're going to be doing now. We're going to be talking about how a leader is a master teacher. So what I'm going to be asking you is to reflect on 3 ideas, concepts, or messages that you are here to teach to the world. I'm going to give you some examples. So many of you know that I struggled to heal my own eating disorder. I had a pattern of overeating and then undereating, and then it took me 5 years to heal my own binge eating disorder, and that allowed me to learn self-acceptance, that I could not have overcome my eating disorder without offering myself compassion. And so that experience has now given me this amazing expertise where I can guide other people into self-compassion because I've been there. I've been in deep shame and deep self-judgment. So I'm here to teach self-compassion and self-acceptance, and I love doing it so much because I know the pain that comes when we don't. Beautiful. Someone is sharing, I was being fully myself this weekend with an old friend and found we just didn't connect as much as what we used to. At first I was sad and then proud of myself. Yay! So big cheers for that person, because it's not easy. There is a falling away that happens in our friendships when we do this. Every time I up-level and I upgrade in my business, there's always a falling away in my following, and then it always comes back all the stronger. So someone is sharing that she knows what the other person means, and then someone else is cheering for that person. I love it. So would you like to type in what's something that you are here to teach, and you might want to share some of the experiences that birthed that expertise for you? Someone's saying that they can relate to self-compassion. No change can come until we have deep compassion for our human condition. Hating on ourselves never works. And so this person, you can really feel right now, has this really powerful way of conveying that hating on ourselves never works. Now, the reason why we would listen to someone like that is that she has been there, done it, didn't work. And right now on Facebook, has kind of moved away from it, but on Instagram as well, there's so many inspiring memes and positive quotes, and we're just sick of them because we go, I don't care if you've got something magical to say about this if you don't tell me the context wherewith it was birthed. Okay, so can I ask that person to share with me how she knows that hating on ourselves never works? Can I invite you into a deeper level of heart leadership and invite you into a deeper level of vulnerability? Only if you want to. Someone else is sharing that she is here to teach, embracing herself fully. Someone else is sharing teaching personal balance and self-compassion through illness. Wonderful. And so another big area that I'm loving really supporting other people on right now is helping other people to speak up, and find their voice, whether that's in boundaries in their relationships or in their business, really sharing their message. It's really, really difficult for highly sensitives and empaths to actually find our own voice and allow ourselves to speak up. So let's have a little bit of a game, because our last principle, number 7, is storytelling builds credibility. But there's a big problem with us fearing oversharing. So we're going to workshop this. And one of the beautiful parts of anything that you want to share is I want you to think, before you share anything on social media, I want it to be complete. Okay. Now, what do I mean by complete? I want you to think about full circle stories. And we're going to come up with one tonight if you want together. Okay, beautiful. I'm going to read some of these out. Sharing the way from turned off emotions to learning to feel again is something that one of the heart leaders here is sharing. Another person is sharing loss and change through career change, sexual violence and bereavement has taught me loving compassion for myself and owning all of who I am. Very well said. Beautiful. Teaching, supporting yourself through change. Okay, wonderful. You guys really can see that some of the things that you are here to share, your experiences have allowed you to have the knowing of the answers. And the more that people like you speak up and confirm for other people how to actually walk through these things, the more you have the capacity to lead them. So let's look at these full circle stories. I want you to think of, first part is backstory or intro. If you've ever heard backstory, it's really important when you're sharing a story to give a bit of backstory. I'm going to give a good example. Next part we want to look at is the body or the event, what happened. Then the last part we want to share, and this is what I learned. This is the outcome, this is the result. Okay. So intro and backstory. For me, I'm going to share a story of how I was thinking today of how I was in Japan and I was living in a dorm with 50 other international exchange students, and I was friends with a wee interesting man from Ireland, and he really wanted to climb Mount Fuji and I didn't. But he invited me to come along. It wasn't my dream. I was along for the ride. And we started hiking at about 11 or 12 o'clock at night, just before midnight. And so that's the backstory. Backstory is, I was in Japan, got invited along, didn't really want to be there, but I went along for the ride. The event, the interesting thing that happened was that it was far more physically demanding than I anticipated. If anyone doesn't know, Mount Fuji used to be volcanic, so all the rocks on the top of Mount Fuji are actually made out of volcanic ash, which is very porous and very crumbly. It's like walking on the beach up a hill, 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. So I was so completely exhausted, I just felt like giving up. And I sat down and I just gave up. I'm like, I just can't do this. And that was the event. The event was concluding, no, I can't do it. But what I really learned from that was that I'm already here. I'm on Mount Fuji. I really wanted to see the sunrise. The sun was going to come up at about 6 a.m. And I just sat down and I'd already given up. And I thought, what the hell? Like, I'm here. Why not just try a little bit more? And every time that I would take a few steps up, you would slip like 1 step back. And so I had to readjust my expectations. And the more I just allowed myself to go, just rest when you need, but just keep going, that actually allowed me to get to the summit. That was a 5.5-hour hike that I quitted on about 20 times. And what I realized is the old carpe diem, seize the day. I'm on Mount Fuji. This crazy Irishman has hauled me along. Why not milk the opportunity and see if I can get to the top? Because I didn't know if I could get to the top, but why not just see? So, backstory. I'm in Japan. Friend invited me. See how I'm giving you some context. Then I'm telling you something pivotal that happened. Yeah, I just wanted to give up. I couldn't do it. And then I really realized that I just had to rest as I wanted. And I just rested so many times and just kept going that it really taught me to seize the day. So if you think about a story from your own life and you go backstory, event, outcome, if you really want to convey to somebody that we need to seize the day, then that would be the story that you would pull out of your box of stories to be able to really convey this principle of seizing the day. Seizing the day is really good when we're on an international holiday. We really want to remember that it's important to seize the day. When we have a loved one that's passing, it's a powerful message to remember we have to seize the day because we don't know if we're going to get it tomorrow. What I'm conveying is not the context. What I want to relate to you is the way that we can share these stories to actually convey something really powerful that will resonate with other people. So it's like, I want you to play. Who wants to play? Come along and play with Lysa and think about a situation that taught you something powerful that you'd really like to convey. Come back to these beautiful aspects that you were sharing with me before about how someone really wants to return to her emotions after turning them off, or someone that has found balance and self-compassion through her own illness. Come back to some of those situations and go, right, where can I give a little bit of backstory in my Instagram post or my Facebook post? And then how can I share? And so this happened. I want you to share a pivotal event and put them in your shoes, help them to understand this is where I was. And then go ahead and lead them and teach them. Okay, so let me see. Okay, someone's sharing. Okay, great. This person has taken up my invitation. So this is what this person said before. She's here to teach self-compassion. No change can come until we have deep compassion for our human condition. Hating on ourselves never works. I said, can you give me some backstory on that? What was the situation where you learned that? She's now sharing, because I did it for years and years and years. I punished myself every time I failed. I tried to punish myself into being perfect. I just realized that I would never treat another human being the way I treated myself. Now, when you stumble or don't achieve my goals, I just give myself love and feel compassion. And then I carry on and achieve more. Okay, so just feel within yourself that when she first shared that, like hating on yourself never works, it kind of maybe dips maybe, 30% into our heart? And then the more she shares the backstory, who felt how much more depth you were able to really hear her and listen to her because of the backstory that she just shared. Really does convey so much more. So, I'm really, really grateful that we can talk about this. I really want tonight's webinar to be more of a workshop, so I'm going to be finishing our recording. And I'm so happy that we've been able to talk about this, but let's dive in and let's help you craft some beautiful, vulnerable soul sharing that will build your credibility, that will help you attract your ideal man, your ideal lover, ideal friends, or ideal clients. And let's help you share more of who you are so you can find your tribe.